Today, September 20th, and we're going to finish out our story about voices and helping people from there. So, quiz coming up on Friday is going to be our biggest grade yet this year, because quizzes are always bigger than homework. It's how HSC is done. Quizzes are like 80% of your grade or something like that. Plus, the quiz coming up this week is our biggest one yet. It's 15 questions and 30 points, so it'll go in as a hefty one. But in theory, you're smarter now. Like, none of you have a pile of stuff on your desk for me to have to harass you about, even though you just moved seats. So that says something from there. And I'm going to try to help you out because I have an idea to try and help you out for the quiz, and we'll see what happens. We don't have anyone standing in here, and we do have more dancing in a moment because we're going to have you guys get a chance to dance here in just a second. If you danced yesterday, you don't get to dance again. It's just, you've already done your dancing. We get to move to new dancing people. And so the green piece of paper you picked up from me today, that is what you have to read for Friday's quiz. My goal is I have to train you how to use your skills on a story that you read your own. So I've been giving you the skills of knowing characters, plot, setting, theme, stuff like that. You are going to have to use that for your own for this story. It's a short one-ish about a kid in the future who has to go to like a robot school and hates school. And I figure most of you guys hate school, so it should connect well with you. To help you out on this, I'm going to try doing two things. One, if you go to my weekly calendar thing, I understand that some of you don't want to read this. To help you not have to read this, because I understand there's so many words on there that can make your brain explode, there's a video of me reading it to you. So if you would like to have me read it to you, you just get to go play, and then you get to listen to me reading it to you with all of my wonderful vocal inflections. I will tell you, I recorded it a couple of years ago when I was doing something for another class, so I do have short hair, so don't let it freak you out too much. And I am wearing a mask because it's back during masky days, but don't let it freak you out a whole lot from there. And so, yeah, it was actually in a whole different room, so it's not even in this room when it happened too.
It looks like the same room.
It's not. It's a whole different room. And to also help you out along these same lines, because I understand that we struggled last Friday on that quiz, so to try and help you out this Friday on the quiz, I'm going to give you all the questions ahead of time. So if you go to Canvas and you click on the one that says Quiz Review Questions, I'm going to give you all the questions so that you can go on there, take a look, and try to do research. Can we write down answers? Yep, that's my way of trying to help the smart kids. So if you go into it ahead of time, you look up stuff, and you know what you're going to do going into it, hopefully this will help you do better on quiz. That way, in case you don't do well on quiz, and Mama or Papa, you contact me, I get to reply with, I gave them all the questions ahead of time, and I read the story to them, and I got them to use open notes. And so there's no reason for you not to do well, except for not wanting to think. Vivi?
What if you're just capping out questions?
What if you're just, what?
Like, you're just making random questions up.
What if I am? Well, then when you take
I could see you doing that.
I agree. I could do that. I didn't yet, maybe in the future. But no, they're not random. They're just straight from the quiz. Tay?
So when people don't listen to you read the paper, why don't they just like turn on the what's the thing's called?
Closed captions?
Yeah. What if they just turn those on and listen to music instead of you?
Then they fail the quiz. That's fine with me. I'm not making you listen to it. It's like, what if I play Fortnite while it's playing? And you're going to fail. That's how learning works.
So wait,
No, you're welcome to fail. I'm not stopping you. Failure's fun.
Thank you.
Slay.
You said we get to use open notes?
Yes. That's the same thing we did for all our other quizzes. Yeah, last week you guys
we
used
did for the first one?
every quiz I've ever done. Yeah. It's just sometimes kids don't pay attention. Not you guys. You guys always pay attention. Let's see. Then, speaking of kids paying attention, we also have the IXL. Please make sure you actually submit it on Canvas. And I've had multiple kids saying that they're done, but if it's not submitted, it's not done. If it's not on Canvas and submitted through Canvas, just like you've been doing for all of your other classes, then it does not get you any points. Ela?
I finished
mine, but whenever I go back into it, it like starts me. But when I'm out of it, it says 100.
Yeah, so you went to the smart score of 100. Once you do that, it resets, so you go back through it, but it has a little star next to it, and that star tells me you've already gone through it once. And that means you've completely completed it, so you're good to go. And I have officially changed it on your assignment, so it says if you get all the way up to the 100, you do get the extra credit, and you get to go to the 13 out of 10. So that was my way of trying to help you on there to make things a little bit better. And I think that's it. Now it's time for dancing. Let's find our dancing people. So if you're one of the 4 who went yesterday, you don't get to go again today. We're going to go to new people today. Excuse me. And if we run out of volunteers, then that's where we get to pick on, not random people. Whoever was the last volunteer gets to pick. Then, do we have anyone in single digits? Nope, because that kid turned in a Simpson sheet. And that kid, we can help do it in just a moment. And, all right, most of you are pretty good. No volunteers? Ella's volunteering. All right, Ella. All right.
No, be nice to her.
All right.
If I can
Be nice to me.
Ready?
Yeah.
Me too. So we have.
Characters.
Oh, hang on one second. The kid over here who I've already tried to move everyone away from him still keeps turning and talking. So soon we're going to try and help him out by moving him way far away from anybody. Oh, let's try it again. All right.
Characters, who's in the story, settings, when and where, plot, what happens, point of view, what we see.
Not what.
Oh, how we see.
There you go.
Hold on. Theme, what we learn, internal conflict, decisions, external conflict.
Yeah.
That's it.
You didn't say what it was. You just said external conflict.
Oh, external conflict, blank versus blank.
You got so excited coming at me, you forgot to say the actual words. Well done. You only made 1 mistake, so you still get all 5. You are now over 20 points. Ooh, now I have a bond. Slay! Up you go. All right. Ooh, you do well on this, it'll put you over 20.
Character who's in the story. Setting, when and where. Plot, what happens. Point of view, how we see the story. Theme, what we learn. Internal conflict. Major decision. External conflict. Something versus something.
Good job, you're over 20. And let's see if we got a boy person. Apparently it's a 3-girl day. Tay's my last one for today.
Characters, who is in the story? Setting, when and where. Plot, what happens. Point of view, how we see the story. Theme, what we learn. Internal conflict, major decision. External conflict, something versus something.
Nicely done. We may have time for more at the end if we get through story. Tay, that puts you over 30.
No! I have a question. I was at 27 and then I turned in a Simpson sheet. I did 100.
Uh-huh. No, you were at 17 and then
How did I
turned in.
get down to 17?
You didn't. You got up to 17. Right.
How was it? It said 27 on the sheet.
After you turn that in. Back to here. So this is partly what you are going to have to do for Friday's quiz. On the green story in front of you, you are going to have to be able to figure out the exposition, rising action, and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that we're still good with all this information. Hopefully it's still in your noggin. Like exposition, the short definition is?
Boring stuff.
Boring beginning stuff.
And then rising action,
Exciting stuff.
climax,
Oh my goodness.
falling action,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And then resolution.
Boring and sad.
And then as we go through the story, we have the very beginning is
Exposition.
Rising action.
Falling
action.
Resolution.
so as long as you know the order they go in and the short definition for each, you in theory should be good. All right. And then foreshadowing.
Yes, we did.
We all wrote it in our little paper. Toby.
Like taking clues like from context and using it to kind of.
Nicely. The clues in the story to help you out. I even made them blue, so it's technically blue clues. And so as we got into it from there, Dylan.
Don't we get to use all of this paper?
The problem is you have a time limit because close is at end of class. So if you use the whole class period looking up answers and you only get through 3 of them, that's why the more of it you don't have to look up, then it gives you more time to look up the ones you don't know.
It's the best.
No, no best. You won't. That's the problem. Because I only give you, because it's on Friday, and there is no best on Friday. And then 2,
Oh, yeah, it's on
because I
Friday.
let you use so many resources, I have to give you a time limit. So that's why that if you want to give up, if you want to have no time limit, that's fine. But then you have to give up all the handouts. So you get one or the other.
Calm down now.
That's how I felt. What?
Let's
No, you just get to keep coming back to my class.
That's a bit drastic.
Alright. So story of voices. How far did we get with you guys?
I don't remember.
I know. I think that's why I'm gonna go back and help you out. I'm well aware. So we just got to the very beginning of it. So we just got through the introductory bits where we got into the main character. Main character.
Sam and his
Presley.
5 a.m. We're. I know.
Description of Sam.
I know.
Dylan.
Morning.
Description
No
of Sam.
description.
Oh.
Scared. Oh my God.
I would take scared. Scared of what?
Slow.
Voices.
There you go. And then the win you guys said was
5 a.m.
School day.
And doesn't it have a math?
Next
Katie has a math test coming up.
No, it is bad. That's not easy last time.
On his floor.
What is it the voices are saying to him?
I don't remember.
Dead.
About death and dead. Alright. Then we get to the little dots, which means we're going to go to a new scene, so it is no longer going to be at his room. It jumps to a new place, and we're going to find out there are new issues that are haunting him. So second column, right below those little dots where it says, his eyes hurt. His eyes hurt. He was sitting in his first period science class and couldn't believe his bad luck. Mrs. Largs was droning on and on in the front of the room, something about cells and membranes. His eyes kept bursting into flames. Okay, well, not actual flames, but it sure felt pretty close. He was just sitting there, trying not to get called on, trying not to think about what a horrible morning he had had, when all of a sudden his vision went completely white and he could feel an odd pressure on his eyelids. And then it was gone. Nothing. He could see just fine without a problem. No residual stars in his vision. No need to blink to clear his eyes. The whiteness was gone as quickly as it had come. Sam quickly looked around to see if anyone else had noticed the burst of whiteness or if it had just been him. But nobody else seemed to be having a problem. He was looking to his left to see if Trevor had noticed it when his left eye burst into flaming whiteness. This time he noticed it didn't actually hurt. It just startled him, freaked him out, but there was no actual pain. He stopped for a moment, one eye viewing nothing but a brilliant shining whiteness and the other viewing his friend Trevor. He blinked to clear it, and the whiteness switched eyes. His left eye cleared just as his right eye burst into a vanilla star. He gasped audibly as the eye change startled him. He still felt no pain, but it was becoming incredibly frustrating. Quick pause. So essentially one of his eyes goes completely white, like if you were to have like an all-white piece of paper and just hold it in front. That's all he sees is whiteness, and then he feels like a pressure, like something pushing against his eye, and then it switches, and he can feel something pushing against the other eye, and it goes all white, and so it goes back and forth. Tay?
What is
Residual means like left over. Like if I shine like a big flashlight in your eye and like let it go, you have like that blinky vision. That's like the residual means like leftover little like things that he can see. Yeah. Right. I mean, you can technically do it to yourself. You just take a finger and push against your eye, and you're like ah, and you're just like ah, ah. That's like what you see, like little floaties are residual. Mr. Times, are you okay? A voice from the front of the room asked. He spun in his seat to see Mrs. Larks looking at him with concern in her eyes. He stared at her for about 3 heartbeats as he tried to focus with his only good eye. Mr. Times, you're not looking well. Would you like to go to the nurse? With a final burst of cream-colored light, his right eye suddenly filled with a stereo image of his left, and his vision had returned. He rose to his feet, feeling surprisingly steady but scared. His vision was fine, but his mind, or his head at least, most certainly was not. Yes, ma'am, I think I would. May I ask you what's wrong? My head hurts is all. I should be fine if I can get some aspirin or something. Well, I hope you feel better. Go ahead and grab the pass off the wall and head down. You can get the homework from a friend when you get back. Thanks, ma'am. I should be fine once I get something for my head. He walked up to the front of the room and grabbed the laminated blue pass off its hook on the wall. He didn't have to turn to feel the eyes of the class on him as he walked down. Even though he was just going to the nurse, he could still feel all the attention being directed at her. He could actually feel the silence in the room as all the eyes behind him followed his progress from the teacher's desk to the door. God, he's beginning to feel like a really bad dream. They're all dead! He stopped in his tracks with his hand on the door. The voice, the one he had heard this morning, the one he had thought was just a bad dream, the deep male voice that had haunted his thoughts since that morning. Who's dead? The thought raced through his head. Is the class dead? Over there! The voice spoke again. He turned to look, one hand still on the doorknob. The class was staring at him. Mrs. Larks was looking at him. He could hear the first few giggles erupt in different places in the classroom. Where? Who is dead? More giggles burst out from within the class. He could hear Trevor's voice asking, Hey man, are you okay? Who are you talking to? His teacher's voice again in his ears. No one is dead, Sam. Why would anyone be dead? She paused for a moment and then added, Do you need someone to go to the nurse with you? Yeah. Sam vigorously shook his head back and forth. No, Mrs. Larks, I don't need that. Did you hear the voice? The guy, the one saying people were dead? Did anyone hear that voice? He scanned the room with his eyes, looking for anyone nodding their head yes, but no one was. They all looked scared of him, even Trevor. We're almost there. He heard the original soft, whispery voice say, the same voice he had first heard that morning. The voice didn't sound scary at all. It sounded soft and friendly, but it still managed to scare him. It really made him want to know almost where, he heard his own voice say out loud. So, where was the new location?
School.
Now he's at school, specifically?
Science.
Science. So now we know it's a horror story that involves science class. And then from there, what is his new issue he's having?
The voices.
Lacey? Yeah. His eyes are switching from all bright white from one eye to the other, the little pressury thing. Have the voices left him alone?
Yes, they did, but they came back.
They came back, and are they still talking about death?
No.
Let's see, over there. Oh, they did. At the bottom of the third column where it says,
Dead.
They're all dead. Although it does, besides being all dead, what else do the voices tell them?
We're almost there.
Quick timeout. Do you guys have guesses as to what you think is happening to Sam using our foreshadowing, predicty things that are out there? Isaac?
Those little people inside of his brain and they're trying to escape through his eyes.
Like the little squirrels that a lot of you guys have in there?
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. Tay?
His brain cancer is getting worse.
Oh, I can see that. Like a brain cancer eating at things.
Like
Slay?
we mentioned yesterday, schizophrenia.
The schizophrenia issue? All right, so just hearing the voices in general?
Inside Out, like the movie. Oh, they're so smart.
I can see that. All right.
Wait, what?
Martin?
She said Inside Out.
Go ahead, I'm just charging him points. You're fine.
Oh, you know how like I think it was like
Wait, can I throw my stuff
Oh, they
away?
made like this tiny shrinking machine, and they went into somebody's ear. That's probably what just happened.
Ooh, the Incredible Journey or something like that. All right. Tay,
He's going delusional and insane.
to help you, this next scene we're going to jump to, a new thing happens beyond just voices and eyes. They are going to up their game. And this is where, for some of you, you're going to start recognizing the foreshadowing clues and what's happening. And it jumps to a new location. So bottom of that first page where it says man. Slay.
The quiz thing, did you say half of it was going to be on this? Does that mean that all of the settings we're going to have to write on the...
Absolutely.
Right on Friday.
Can you...
Man, Trevor said at lunch, you really had us freaked out today in Marx's class. I thought you were going to go all psycho on us or something. Your eyes were all flipped out, and the way you kept talking about dead people and stuff, that was spooky. You sure you're okay? Sam looked up from his sloppy Joe and gave his friend a smile. I don't know if you'd say I'm okay, but I don't know, I'm feeling better at least. This morning has really sucked, Trev. I don't even think I can put into words how messed up it's been. He took another bite of his sandwich and chewed slowly, looking at his plate. Are you going to try? The question coming from his friend. Try what? Sam asked. Sheesh, explain it to me, Trevor said in an exasperated tone. I haven't spoken with you since Mrs. Larks took you to the nurse. You say weird stuff has been happening. Okay, well, what kind of weird stuff? Well, voices for one thing. I've been hearing voices, apparently from people that aren't there. I mean, I can hear them just fine, but I seem to be the only one. Voices? Really? Oh, that's kind of cool. That's like full-blown crazy person stuff. I've never known a real crazy person before. Sam looked up at his friend in time to see a smile. It's not funny, Trevor. It's really scaring me. And there are like bright lights going off in my eyes. It's like I'm looking at a light bulb with only one eye. Well, it doesn't hurt, but it's weird and it's creepy and I don't like it. And I just want it all to stop. And you're bleeding. No, Trev, it's all been in my head so far. I haven't actually been hurt or anything. No, man, you're bleeding. Check out your arm. What? Sam asked and looked down at his right arm. Trevor was right. There was blood coming out of the crook of his elbow. It seemed to be quite a bit of blood, too. What the? Sam exclaimed while swiping at his arm. The arm tingled now. It felt funny, but it didn't really hurt. Do you guys know where the crook of your elbow is? Yes, it's the inside. He grabbed some napkins off his tray and wiped at the blood. He saw it was coming out of a small hole on the inner bend of his elbow. It was right on the vein. It was like the vein had just opened up and started shooting blood out on its own. What's wrong with it? Trevor blurted, and then asked more quietly, is there anything I can do to help? Yeah, Sam replied. Give me your napkins and go get a large Band-Aid. What's wrong? Sam spun in his chair to see nobody near him. Who said that? Stop fighting it! A much stronger voice resounded on his other side. He quickly looked to the side of the new voice and saw the same sight. Nothing. Losing him, the voice again. It sounded, I don't know, anxious, worried. He wasn't sure, but it didn't sound good. Falling. A new voice this time, but what was falling? Sam thought he missed the beginning of whatever it was the voice said. It bothered him. Something important was falling, and it seemed to involve him. Presley?
I think he's gonna die.
Why?
Because he's literally like bleeding out of nowhere.
It's the little people trying to escape.
They've moved from his eyes to his arm.
Yeah, so like he's like there's like something wrong with him.
Wow, that I definitely agree with.
And like, oh my gosh, okay. So So like, okay, so is like your heart and brain like connected?
Yeah.
So like, what if like his heart was messed up and then his brain got messed up and then he was like bleeding out? Because his like brain is messed up and there's too much blood in his brain, so it's like drowning.
Yeah, and that's how you relieve your blood brain is by cleaning out your arm.
Yeah, it's not like you blow out your nose drowning or you're like
Jameson.
Yeah, no,
it's kind of like when you
his
have
brain
like
is drowning.
Jesus right here and the devil, you know?
Like the good thing and the bad thing, both talking to him, the things on the side of the shoulders.
Oh my God, like the angels and devils.
Real quick, where is our new location? That's done. So we're now in the cafeteria. We've introduced Trevor, and we now have what new issue is he dealing with?
Bloody arm.
Blood.
And unfortunately, with our beginning of class issues, I have to move on so we can get done with the story at the end, because I want to make sure you guys know what happens at it. You can pout at me, but I got to make sure. For a lot of you, this next scene we get to, this is where you figure out what the foreshadowing is. If you figure it out and you have the moment, don't say it. Don't Presley it and get rid of your points. You just sit there and hold on to it till other kids figure it out. Because the next thing that the voices do seems to give it away to a lot of people. He didn't know any of this. Sam looked at the math test again and sighed. All that studying he had done, and it was no help. None of these questions made any sense to him. It was almost like it was written in a language he couldn't even understand. He looked at the first question and rubbed at the bandage on his arm. The stupid thing still hurt and wouldn't stop bleeding. It had been bleeding for almost 2 hours now. Stupid slow trickle that didn't seem to stop. Sam snuck a quick peek around the room to see if anyone else was having trouble with the test. No one else was looking up. They all seemed to be writing furiously. All right then, Sam said quietly to himself. I study. It should be easy. All right, let's try the first problem again and see how to get the square root. Not gonna make it, said a loud voice just above his left ear. Not again. Make the voices stop. Tell me who you're talking about. You're driving me crazy. Sam finished his rant in a voice loud enough to nearly qualify as a shout. Well, Mr. Tynes, talking during a test will drive me crazy, his algebra teacher, Mr. Finns, told him. I've heard you had a rough day, Samuel, but please keep quiet during the test. Shock him! The voice was louder now and almost seemed angry. I'm shocked! I'm shocked! Sam shouted back at the voice. This whole freaking day has been shocking. I don't want any more surprises. If you want to really shock me, try leaving me alone. That would shock me. Mr. Tynes, I am shocked also. I am shocked a good student such as yourself would behave like this. That is quite enough. I will not have an outburst like that in my class, especially during... Clear! The voice drowned out Mr. Finn's last few words. The voice was insistent this time, almost yelling, but not sounding like it was directed at him. Sam stood and looked around the room. Is what clear? Nothing is clear. I don't understand any of it. The pain that suddenly shot through his chest knocked him off his feet and dropped him onto his butt. His heart and lungs and chest had just simply exploded. His eyes swam with pain. His buzzing fingertips reminded him of the time he electrocuted himself screwing in the light bulb up in his attic. He slowly looked down at his chest to see how big the gunshot wound was. It had to have been a bullet. Nothing else could hurt this much. But there was nothing. No blood, no hole, no bullet, just intense pain. It hurt so much he could do little more than sit there with his mouth open and gawk at his own uninjured chest. No response, the voice yelled at him. What the bejesus? What do you mean no response? What kind of a response do you want? It knocked him off his feet. It made his chest explode. He felt like he was dying. Clear, the voice bellowed at him. No, it's not. I don't know what you want. How can it be clear? Who are you? Why are you doing this? Another explosion of pain blasted his chest. He could actually feel his body jerk and jump as something like electricity shot through his entire body. His vision blurred, and he could see the classroom and the stunned expressions of his classmates and teacher as they melted into the whiteness that was surrounding his vision. His hearing seemed to fade as the classroom sounds dissolved. I'm dying. So this is what it's like. But why? Why did they have to kill me? What did I do to them? Stable, he heard the soft voice tell him as his consciousness blinked out.
Was he like on an electric chair?
So,
I know what it was.
how many of you feel you know what it is? Alright, don't say anything yet. We're going to get to the... Is it about how many points I keep charging the three of you because you keep being a distraction during the entire time? The answer is 3. I know. Clear! This seems to be clear to me. So hold on to that. I'm not taking comments yet. You just have to wait. We're going to read the last part because there's one more scene.
Where?
Not on your paper. Again, I didn't give you the end because I don't trust kids not to read ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So it's on canvas, and I will also put it up here. But as far as quiz goes, you can find it there, and that's where I left the last scene. We'll see how correct you are with those of you who think you know what's happening.
We are.
Sam awoke and saw a white room he didn't recognize. He could smell disinfectant. He heard the voices of people far away, maybe in a hallway. He tried to sit up, but was stopped by the pain that shot through his body. Oh man, he hurt. That last shock hadn't killed him, but his body sure ached like it had tried. Thought we lost you, a voice said from off to his left. The soft voice he had heard before. So the voices weren't done with him yet. Not again. Why can't you all just leave me alone? Because you probably would have died if we'd done that. The voice just answered him. The voices had never answered. They just spoke. He slowly turned his head to that side. So, how are you feeling, kiddo? The nurse standing next to his bed asked, using the voice he had come to recognize and dread. Who are you? No, where am I? What's going on? How did you manage to... He trailed off, looking at this lady who was staring at him, adjusting a clear plastic bag hanging on a pole next to his bed. His eyes followed the thin tube connected to the bottom of the bag, followed it down until it connected with his arm, connected with a needle inserted into the bend of his right elbow, exactly where he had been bleeding before. You were incredibly lucky to survive that car wreck. If you hadn't been wearing your seatbelt, you'd have been thrown through the windshield just like your... She stopped short and looked at him again. It was a concerned, motherly look. Well, you're lucky to be alive anyway. Car wreck? What car wreck? You mean the one that was in my dream? The nurse wrinkled her nose and gave him an odd look. Oh, that was no dream, sweetie. That was more like a nightmare. And from what I understand, you almost died last night in the emergency room, too. Your heart just stopped. The doctors had to shock you to get your heart started. Shock me? An eerie thought was beginning to creep up Sam's spine and nudge its way into his brain. Yes, Sam. They had to use the defibrillator to get your heart beating again. If they hadn't, well, you'd be dead now. And that's where it stops.
I said it was a dream. Do you not remember that when I said
Maybe he's dreaming.
when
When
he like fell on the ground, that's the
Lydia, it wasn't.
I know.
So what are defibrillators?
In the beginning.
Toby? Defibrillators?
Defibrillators are an electrical device that helps restart the heart.
Nice done. So those are the little devices. Done. And then there you go. So at the end of story, where did you find out he was?
And then
Nice done.
is that he wasn't supposed to say?
And we should know who the voices were throughout the story. Nice done. So to go back and look at our foreshadowing clues, he has a dream about his family dying in a car wreck.
That's fact.
It was
How do we know his family died in the car wreck?
because the nurse
Says,
it was like
Unlike
the
your-
rest I can
unlike your
It
mother.
was more like a nightmare.
there you go. And at the very beginning when the voices say they're all dead?
Oh my god, his family died.
Those are the
You
police.
literally just told me that.
Those are the
No, I
cops
thought-
saying that they're all dead.
That's sad.
That's
And there's your words. Then, so when he's in science class and he feels pressure on his eyes, one goes all white and the other goes all white. Lacey?
Feels like when you lift up your eye to the
Yeah. They're checking to see if he's alive. I'm like,
I have a question.
the blood on his arm? Then, when the voice tells him to stop fighting it,
He keeps all new.
He keeps growing.
Stop fighting the chemo.
Like, stop fighting the nurses and the doctors.
because that's when they're trying to run the little thing into his vein, and soon he's like, and they're like, kid, stop fighting! And he's like, and he's like smacking it in his little dream world.
Oh my
Stop fighting.
Everything is coming to my brain.
When his chest explodes,
It was his chest.
told you the foreshadow. Even though the story just stops in the middle of a thing, I told you the foreshadowing would help you figure out the end.
Like, why did you think he was in school?
because it was a dream.
Okay, no,
It was a coma dream.
But like, why?
And
And it didn't happen like, oh, I'm in science class with my bestie Trevor.
It happened all the time.
Or why was he like, oh, I'm in the cafeteria eating my lunch?
do you get to control your dreams?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
My dream.
You can.
Yes.
Martin? Alright. Let's see, what were the other things I had? The not gonna make it. We did oh! When the voices with the blood thing and the voices say falling, you know what the falling is in reference to?
He's dying. Hit the gas.
Close.
Flying out the window.
The heart rate is falling. That's why it jumps to the scene where he gets shocked.
Did I not tell you something about the heart and the brain?
You did talk about the heart and the brain.
Yeah. I still got his brain.
Yes, she said he was drowning in his blood.
Just like Isaac and the little people crawling out of his eyes.
Yeah.
That totally feels like you guys were nailing that.
Yeah.
What?
It was inside out, like literally inside out.
Literally.
Without.
That's literally the
I was
definition.
kind of close.
No, it's called.
We may have different definitions of literally.
Wait, Mr. That was close.
Close to getting a new seat? Yes. A couple of you are close to getting a new seat after one day.